When we refinanced, we got an appraised again for 560. And that was not
Wow.
what I was expecting. I was actually disappointed with that. So I contacted the appraisal, had a conversation and say, would you consider, I live here, I invest here, really understand the market. Would you reconsider looking at it? So they did. And it came back as 675.
Come on. You appealed it and got it bumped by
Yeah.
115,000.
Yes. And that's the,
High five
675.
through Zoom. High five through Zoom. Welcome to the BiggerPockets Best Deal Ever show. I'm your lovable host, Ken Corsini, who with my wife, Anita, have flipped over 800 houses in Atlanta since 2005 and even have a show on HGTV. But this show isn't about us. It's about all the amazing real estate investors out there that are crushing it. It's about their stories, their best deals, how they sourced them, how they funded them, and what we can learn from their experiences. This is the Best Deal Ever show. Hey, this is Ken Corsini with the Best Deal Ever show. On today's episode, I am joined by Andresa Guidelli. Andresa, how you doing?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
That is a very lovely accent. Where are you from?
I am from Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been in the U.S.?
Well, I've been here since 2008.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And tell us what market you're in.
I am in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, a little bit of a different climate from Brazil, right?
Quite different,
I was
right?
about to say, what sort of adjustment was that?
Well, it was a little rough at the beginning. I landed here in January 2008.
Oh,
And in
wow.
Brazil, we don't have snow at all. So when I came here and I was like, I thought I knew what cold looked like, how it feels like. But to me, it was really putting myself inside a freezer and locking me in.
Well,
Right?
January, probably not the best month to introduce you to Philly, right?
Totally not. And I had no idea about how to, create the layers needed. So I was extremely cold at all
Wow.
times inside any place that I was like with scarf and everything else was pretty hilarious.
That's too funny. Now you came over for school, is that right?
Yeah, I came for exchange cultural program, and then in 6 months I applied for my master's degree, ended up being accepted, and here I am.
What did you go to school for? Just curious.
I went to LaSalle to learn is a master's in business communication.
Okay.
So it's all about the communication. So sometimes people say, oh my gosh. And you throw that out. I was like, actually not. Real estate is all about communication, in my opinion. It comes down to how well you communicate, how well you engage with the seller, with the buyer, and negotiate the deal. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you find yourself in real estate then after getting a degree like that?
Sure. So during my last semester, I started an internship. I did not have sales experience at that time. And I really understood that in any business, in any career that you choose to develop, sales is just a great skill to have. So I put myself into a door-to-door sales position.
Really?
And yes, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. However, I really learned the importance of systems
Yeah.
to put in place because it was commission based. So I really need to get, my game all the way up. And one day I came to my manager, I was building a team, a sales team, and I came to him and I said, hey, I really need to get my sales team to another level because I just want to make more money. You make more money. So we're good. And tell me like a book that you would recommend to me. He's like, no. I was like, what do you mean no? I make more money. You make more money. What's the point? And he said, you don't see that yet, but I do. You're going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not sure what it is, but I have a slight sense that you're going to like this book. And I was like, which book? He's like, it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was like, what? No idea. Who is Robert Kiyosaki? No idea.
Right.
And then he's like, you're going to read this book and next week we're going to have a meeting about it. And there we go. It completely changed my life. From there, I got to understand more about Robert. And I start doing some courses with his corporation. And here I am.
You know, it is amazing how many people I've interviewed over the years and have said the exact same thing. That
Right.
that book, more than any other, like 90% of the time, if there's a book that changed somebody's trajectory, it's Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's amazing.
Yeah. I wish I could say, oh, it was something else, not that cheesy, but that was it.
No, I don't think there's anything cheesy about it. I mean, that's it. It really, it's one of the few books that legitimately changes somebody's mindset,
It
right?
totally. I didn't even know existed. So it was to me, it was like, what's going on here? This entire world that exists that I didn't know. Why I don't know about it? So there's a completely different type of people that are talking a different language. What
Yeah.
is this?
Right.
So
Yeah. Okay. What does your real estate business look like today in Philly?
sure. So I started doing residential single families, right? One
Hmm.
at a time, two at a time, 315 at a time. And I rehabbed and I kind of landed into new construction, really enjoying doing things multiple at the same time. And then lately, I decided that I really want and I enjoy commercial real estate, larger construction, larger deals.
Wow.
So I joined a company, a developer that I know has a construction company and a development company. And I'm now the director of real estate development for all the commercial development. So it's a really interesting, learning and excited time for me in regards
Wow.
to commercial. Yes.
So you were flipping houses yourself on the
Mm-hmm.
residential side, kind of took
Mm-hmm.
a liking to commercial, and then went ahead and took a position just to learn and manage and get your head around the whole commercial side of things.
Yes, we have some deals that I'm still doing, of course. You can, but this one is, I decided that I really want to learn more about commercial. And I don't know anybody knocking at my door and say, yeah, come and learn.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
teach you everything. It's
No.
just a very small, pool of people that are doing what I'm looking to do. So I'm still doing deals and super excited about a couple of deals that we're going to share
Awesome.
later on. But I really enjoyed that. And other part of my business that I've been doing, I have a small portfolio of short-term and long-term rentals,
Okay.
and I've been doing short-term rentals for quite a long time, since 2012, and I
Wow.
enjoy more than long-term, to
Are
be
they all
honest.
Airbnbs? Or are they different? Are they corporate housing, or what are you doing?
Well, the triplex that I'm gonna describe to you guys today is a very interesting example. I mix it's a triplex. 2 units are long term, and 1 unit is a short term
Okay.
on purpose.
Yeah.
So it's a
Fantastic.
different approach. Yeah.
Yeah, funny. I do something similar. I've got a handful of townhouses, and like some are long term and some are short term. Just because sometimes it's hard to have a whole bunch of short term all together, but you have ones or twos, and it works
Absolutely.
out pretty well. That's
I
cool.
think it's just a great opportunity that we didn't have. Airbnb is not that old.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a couple of years ago. And I think that is just getting better and better.
Oh, absolutely. So you've done a great job teasing us about your best deal ever. Let's hear it. Let's hear about your best deal ever.
Well, so this deal is a triplex located in South Philadelphia.
Okay.
Um, we were rehabbing this small, tiny house in South Philly, and when we saw garbage bags and furniture being putting out in front of this triplex, we're like, well, something is happening here. So we got in contact with the family, and it was a estate sale. So the triplex, the bottom was a candy store since 1950s.
A candy store in the basement? Was this like in a commercial area, or was it in a residential area?
Residential area. So
This-
it was a candy store at the first floor on the first floor, but it was being closed already.
Okay.
And there was so much liquor in the basement that I was like, in boxes and cups and different things. I don't know if they were running some sort of bar downstairs. I have
Weird.
no idea. But
Score, free liquor.
but we had a couple of open houses and gave away. We donated. It was just so much there. So
Wow.
the goal here was to convert the bottom into a residential. That
Okay.
was pretty much it. So we were like, well, it's a pretty straight forward deal. Let's just get the zoning process started prior of closing. And that's what we did. We got authorization from the owner to get the zoning process started prior.
Mm-hmm.
And here's one quick tip that I will say. Uh, Unless you're like 100% sure you're gonna close on a property, I wouldn't do it, because we knew we were gonna close it for sure, because you spend a lot of time and money with attorneys and the process itself. But for us, we knew that we wanted to get this deal closed as soon as possible and get the process started, because it can take 3 to 6 months.
Sure.
So,
Let me ask you this. How did you even locate the owners? You saw some trash bags out front. What did you do to get in contact with them?
well, here in Philadelphia, we can see on the city website where is the mailing address.
Okay. Gotcha.
And here's what comes down also too. I knocked so many doors that I have no problem knocking somebody's doors and engaging in a conversation.
Yeah.
So it was a mix of a lot of things. The neighbors knew about them, and it's just you're gathering information from wherever you have. And if you knock on a couple of doors, you will know what's happening in like 5-10 minutes. You know what the hell is happening there.
So,
Why is
so
that
you
so
asked the
many
neighbors.
trash?
I got you. Well, I
Yeah,
thought you were
yes.
going to say that you figured out where the owners lived and then went and knocked on their door. Is that what you did as well?
Well, the owners itself, they passed away.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it was a estate sale.
Gotcha.
So first we needed to understand where the mailing was going and who was the executrix. That was the case
Yep.
for us. And then we got in contact with them.
So you got in contact, with the executor of it because it was in probate at the time.
It was.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, what was it zoned when you put it under contract?
It was zoned is actually it's kind of a single family. It was a type of zoning that don't apply anymore at all. So
Oh,
it
interesting.
didn't apply. And the funny thing is that the bottom was a candy store, and the two units on top were zoned appropriately as two separate units. However, they were being used by one Italian family. So we had 6 bedrooms, 1 kitchen. I mean,
Hey, forget about it.
right? So I couldn't reuse much. I had the layout was completely off. I had to gut the entire process. So the funny thing is that we went to the community meeting to change the zoning, and a guy raised his hand and he's like, "Are you going to keep the chicken coop?" And I was like, "Excuse me, chicken coop? I'm not sure what you're talking about." "Yeah, the chicken coop that you have on the roof." And then I was like, "What?" And the board member was like, "Sir, that's called pilot house. It's not a chicken coop." So from outside, he saw the pilot house and he thought, "Oh my gosh, they have a chicken coop there." And that was not it.
What's up? I don't even know what a pilot house is. What's a pilot
So a
house?
pilot house is really like a small entrance to the roof deck.
So it's a flat. It must be a flat roof then.
Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not.
Okay.
It's just a small entrance. So from the outside, it might look like a chicken coop. I give them that, but it was not.
The guy never saw chicken, but he just assumed that there were chickens up there.
Yes, and I bet if they had eggs and tomatoes there, probably had tomatoes. Italians had tomatoes, right? My family,
sure.
Italian.
Oh, yeah.
So they would have thrown at us because they hated this idea of converting the bottom floor. So I was like, okay, so you guys want commercial? No, we don't want commercial. Well, so I'm not sure what you guys want here, because
they wanted the candy store back apparently, or the liquor store.
Know.
Maybe they were all the people that frequented the speakeasy on the bottom level.
Not connecting the dots.
Yeah.
So that was it. They said no, but then we went to the zoning board here, and in less than like 2 minutes, it was no brainer for them. And like that makes total sense. This candy store does not make any sense anymore. You guys gonna convert those and we're good to go. So we were able to get a finance for a triplex.
Okay, so they zoned it for actual triplex. There's so many, the good point here is there are so many houses in urban areas, like especially in Atlanta, where there's houses that are being used as triplexes, like in the top and the side, but they're not zoned for triplexes. So you buy it doesn't mean you can continue to rent it out like a triplex.
Absolutely. And the lender is not going to look at that single family being used as a triplex as a true triplex. The income is different. So
Yeah,
It was very important for us to really convert that prior of closing on the
absolutely.
property.
So you were able to go through the zoning process before you even purchased it.
Yes.
Wow. And
Mhm.
how much did that cost? Just curious. And what sort of time was involved?
Well, it took about 3 months, and we have a local lawyer. Just the legal fees was about 2,500. So it was not much, but it's something that you need to take in
Sure.
consideration.
Yeah. And time going before the
Hmm.
boards and yeah, getting some backlash from some community. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you knew going in buying it that you were going to have the zoning you wanted. So I guess the next
Yes.
question is, what sort of financing did you put on it initially when you bought it?
Well, so this was a commercial finance. We got an LLC, and
Hmm.
we got we put, I believe, 20% down, and we got 100% of the construction. So we purchased for 230.
So the purchase price was 230,000.
Yes.
230,000.
Yes, and so you have an idea. The last house that I bought here was a full gut. I paid 200. So a
Okay.
triplex at 230
Yeah.
was really good price for
And
us.
what were you
Mhm.
anticipating the rents at?
Well, the rents in this area are getting very, very good because of the location. So we were anticipating between 1,500 and 1,600.
Per side, per unit, or
Yeah,
total? Holy
per
cow.
yeah,
Oh my
per unit.
gosh.
Yes.
That's a cash flow beast right there. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. And one of them, Airbnb.
Dude. Okay, so you bought it for 230. You had to
Yes.
put about 20% of your own money in, so call it
Mm-hmm.
50 grand after some closing
Mm-hmm.
costs or
So
whatever.
it was about 60 with closing costs,
Okay.
68, I believe,
Okay.
total with closing costs and everything. And then we got 150 for construction.
Okay. And they give you
And in
100% of that. That's pretty awesome.
yes, in the middle though, we found a couple of things. So we had to put a little bit out of our pocket. We found that the first floor was entirely the beams were completely bad, and we need to replace the entire first floor.
Oh wow. Holy cow. Just like reframed it?
No, the frame was completely off. I'm talking about the floor, the beams.
Oh. Was there a basement? So you could get up
Yes.
underneath it and re-support it and
Yes.
work on some foundation issues. I
Hmm.
gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, old house
Yep.
like that. I mean, that's not probably not that uncommon in Philly. Some
No.
older housing stock.
Yeah. But I was just like hoping that we didn't have to do that extent, but still was good. We purchased right, so
Yeah.
it was all good at that time.
So
Yes.
you got $150,000 in the wrapped into the loan for
Hmm.
construction. And then what did you guys end up actually spending on construction?
200.
Right at
So
200. Okay.
yes.
So you guys were all in for 430.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Our loan, let me just get here. Our loan for with the bank was 323 at that time.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. And you were anticipating 4,500 in rent, something like that, potentially,
yes,
if you
for
were all long term.
first floor, the first floor has a basement and a backyard, 1,700. The third floor has a roof deck, so 1,625. And the middle unit is the smallest one, does not have backyard or any outside area. So that one we are doing Airbnb, and clean, it's about 13, 14 per
Okay.
month.
Okay. Interesting. So it's three levels, and each level is its own unit in the triplex.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. And so how do they
Hmm.
access the top level? It's just interior stairs to the top?
Yes. Hmm. Yes.
Wow. And the middle level is Airbnb, and I
Yeah.
guess you do better with that than you would if you'd done like a long-term rental in there.
Yes. Short term, it will be low because it's the smallest unit and does not have an outside area.
I gotcha.
So it's really good. We usually rent that unit for nurses,
Okay.
that traveling nurses that come to Philadelphia. We have a big hospitals here, and they stay for about 3-6 months
Oh
at
yeah.
a time.
Oh, perfect.
So, and they don't pay for it; they get a voucher, so
Yeah.
they don't care. So
Oh
they
man, that's
pay.
perfect.
Sometimes they pay 1,600, 1,800 per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're all in this thing for 430, getting about 46.25 in rent, which is
Yeah.
super, super solid. That's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Now, Did you I mean, you still own it. Doesn't sound like you've exited. Did you go back and put permanent financing on it?
Yes, we definitely did that. We refinanced it. One thing that, because of the extensive work that we did, we get a 10-year tax abatement here in Philadelphia. So that's
What?
good news. Yeah.
You don't pay property taxes for 10 years at
No,
all?
no,
Or just
no,
like,
no.
or like
The
reduced?
reassessment.
Okay.
So yeah, so we get an abatement. 10 years from now, it will change for sure. But right now, the taxes are 3220
Okay. Yeah,
per year.
that's not bad. And it'll stay that
Yes.
way for 10 years, you're saying. They won't raise it on you.
Well, unless some politicians that we heard some stories over here that they might change the law and go back to it or not. But
Oh, bummer.
as of
Yes.
now, yes.
I mean, everything's subject to the next administration coming in and doing something different, right?
Yes.
That's the world we live in.
So when we refinanced, we got an appraised again for 560. And that was not what I was expecting. I was actually disappointed with that.
Really? You were in it for 430 and got an appraisal of 560 and you were not happy with it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I was not. So here's what happened. Philadelphia is very dense. Very, very dense.
Mhm.
So, you go across the street, you're in a completely different neighborhood.
Yeah.
And things really change. And if you get an appraisal that is not familiar with South Philly and what's going on around, they're going to appraise your property, compare your property with others that really are not.
Yeah.
So I looked at the report and I looked at a couple of things that I found some flaws. So the number one is that the appraisal was comparing to other properties that were not zoned properly. So they were RSA 5, which is single family.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Used as triplex. So
Yep.
off.
Interesting.
Different zip codes are too far away from us. And also, I evaluated some of the comps that he used. The units were not rented; was just estimated rent, and he used as if they were rented.
Oh.
So the income was off. So I prepare a report and kindly contact the lender and say, hey, would you consider this? The lender said, I can take yours against the appraisal unless he tells me, hey, this is it. So I contact the appraisal, had a conversation and say, would you consider, I live here, I invest here, really understand the market. Would you reconsider looking at it? So they did. And it came back as 675.
Come on. You appealed it and got it bumped by 115,000.
Yes. And that's the,
high
675.
five through Zoom. High five through Zoom.
675 cash out, 75% LTV. And here I am.
So yeah, what is, I don't know that on the top of my head. So what were you able to cash out? How much were you able to pull?
We cash out 115 and we currently have a loan for 506.
Dang, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So, and the beautiful thing is, that it's not income, right? It's equity. That $115,000 is tax-free money.
Mm-hmm.
Take it and run with it, man.
Reinvest.
Reinvest. That's right. Seed money for the next thing.
Absolutely.
Dude, so you created a ton of equity and fought for that equity.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Eggs, tomatoes, and just like curse.
Yeah.
It's really not that simple. But
you have figured out how to live in Philly, scraping and scratching and do what you got to do to get yours, right?
Yeah, I think that door-to-door sales kind of like so many doors in my face kind of like got my skin thicker.
You know what? You're probably right. Looking back, I bet you're right. It probably taught you all sorts of good, tough lessons on how to be in this business.
Definitely.
So somebody's listening to this and thinking, wow, how in the world did you figure all this out? Let me just ask you this. What did you learn, or what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about getting into a similar deal?
Sure. Well, you got to have the right expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have experience, partner up with somebody that does have it, because you don't know what you don't know until it's really in your face. Like right here, right?
Sure.
So we're always looking to do different things and invest going through a zoning process, it's not simple because there's so many regulations and keep in mind, they might say, no, I want to keep as it is. So run on your numbers, best case scenario and worst case scenario. Worst case scenario will still be good with a commercial at the bottom here. The numbers will still look good. So what I would say is run different scenarios, run the numbers in different scenarios. So you have no idea how to do that. Partner up with somebody that is already doing what you're looking to do.
Yeah, that's really good advice. In your particular case, like the best and worst case scenario are still pretty good. Like commercial would have probably worked just fine for you as well.
Yeah, it would.
But not always. A lot of times you're looking at a deal, and if you can't get that, maybe if it's a triplex and you want to keep it a triplex or actually zone it a proper triplex and you can't, well, that completely changes the outlook of the deal. So you're right. Make sure you understand and are prepared for what you're buying into.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. Andresa, man, this is really good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
You are welcome. It was my pleasure.
All right, take care. Thanks for listening to the Best Deal Ever show, brought to you by BiggerPockets. If you've been energized, entertained, or enlightened by today's show, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ken Corsini, or check us out online at redbarnhomes.com. And don't forget, one man's best deal ever may be the inspiration you need to create your next best deal. So, hope to see you on the next episode.